The O word is overwhelmed. It's back to teaching time. And for some of us, we're overwhelmed. I can almost say for all of us, it's a word that we often use in just preparing all the stuff that we need to do to get organized and to plan and teach and just everything that we need to get done in our teaching schedule. So I've got three notes that I'm going to share with you today. So I'm Glory Sage Germain, your host, and welcome to the Ultimate Music Theory Notes with Glory. What are we going to learn today? Well, before I give you the three notes for the day, I want you to share with me in the chat box, what is something that you are overwhelmed with right now? I'm really curious to see what is something that's overwhelming you right now. Is it your teaching schedule? Is it organizing your studio? Is it lesson planning? Is it thinking about maybe I should have some games? I don't really feel confident in everything that I really plan to teach this year. What is your big O? What's your overwhelm? I know for some of us, we've been teaching a long time. And even though we've been teaching a long time, doesn't mean that we've got all our ducks in a row, as they say, or that we even feel confident and comfortable. So share with me, hey, Joanne, what is it that is overwhelming you? So I'm going to share, Gail is joining us here. And Gail says, one of the things that is overwhelming me right now is the O is organize. That is a good one. So let's see, what else have you got that's just something that you need help with? Because I want to share three notes with you today that hopefully will put you on the path to solving your big O. What is it that overwhelms you? And as Gail said, for me, it's organized. So I want to give you some tips and tricks today that's going to help you really plan that so that you're not going to be overwhelmed this year. So my question is, what is overwhelming for you? All right, Jeannie's got something to share with us. And she says, organizing my books and my schedule. Oh my goodness, Jeannie, you are so in the right place today, because I've got three glory notes for you today that are hopefully going to kind of, chill some of those things out for you, because so often we just become overwhelmed. And sometimes we spend so much of our time just like removing things. I'm guilty of that. Have you ever had a shelf where it was sort of a mess, and then you took things out and you just kind of moved them to the other side of the room so that would look good, and then you turned around and now that side was all messed up and we really didn't get any further ahead? I know it's something I've done in the past for sure. So let me give you three notes today that are going to take away that overwhelm and just help you organize. And we're going to talk about a few different things, because we need to talk about organizing. We've got organizing our schedule, organizing our music, as Gail shared and Jeannie shared. And then there's also that rescheduling drama, right? That it affects us in a powerful way. So I love chatting with you from everywhere. So thanks for joining me live. I want to talk today about our first letter. So we're talking about F, G, A, and then I'll have a little trivia question for you at the end. So today is all about organizing. So F, G, and A. Hello, Brandy. Nice to see you joining me today. So the first note that we're talking about today, and the word for the day is overwhelm and organize. Okay, so what are we going to do? So the first note for today is the letter F, and the letter F is for focus. Now you might say, well, Glory, what does focus have to do with organize? And the answer is this: you want to focus on the outcome. You might want to write this down. Focus on the outcome. What is the outcome that I desire to organize? And just do it one step at a time. So you might say, you know what, today I'm going to organize my music. And I'm just going to take like 2 hours or however long it takes to organize your music so that it's going to be effective for the whole teaching year. You might want to go get some dividers and, put, Baroque, classical levels, however you want to organize it. But take the time to do it now, because it will serve you for the entire year. I promise you. I know I've done that. I've got my music, I call it the closet because it's massive, and all my music books in there organized. And I'm so grateful that I took that time to focus on that one task. The next thing might be your lesson plans. Now, I don't know about you, but I've done lesson planning my whole entire life. And you want to focus on maybe one level. Focus on maybe one direction that you want to take your music studio in this year. But whatever your plan is, take time to focus on that action and write it down. What are some of them? You can share with me in the chat box. What are some of the things that you struggle with when you want to focus? Because I got one more little tip in here for you. So, what happens when you're tackling these tasks? Are you easily distracted? Do you kind of have that, we call it the squirrel game where you're like, oh, I should just do this or I should just do that? What is it that is taking you away from accomplishing, organizing these tools? One of the things I wanted to share with you as well is that we need to focus on the purpose. And it's not just the purpose of lesson planning, but focus on the purpose of why. Why are you doing this? Do you want to serve your students at a higher level? Do you want to be more organized so that you will be more relaxed and be present rather than just thinking, well, I wonder where I left that and I wonder where I left that. I can't emphasize enough how important it is to take the time to focus on the task, to focus on the outcome that you want, and then to take that action step to get it done. So that's our first letter, is the letter F is for focus. So here's my next question for you. We've got the focus, right? So my next question for you is, when you have a student or you're doing your scheduling, what is maybe one thing that drives you crazy about even doing your scheduling? Because we all have those moments when I'm trying to do scheduling. And I want to ask you, what is your most important thing? And you can just share with me in the chat box. Are you focusing on just helping your students with their scheduling, or are you focused on organizing the schedule so that it works for you and your family? So you can just type in students or me. That's the question. Students or me. Where is your focus when you're thinking about scheduling? Is it focusing on what your students want and need, or are you focusing on what you need and what your family wants for you? So, little question for you. So let's see. I've got a little note here from Janet, and she says, I have other things that need to be taken care of, and it's always in the back of my head. Dinner, pick up kids, dinner. And it's so true. Janet's talking about, when we focus, like, what is it that we're focusing on and how can we maintain that focus, right? It's really interesting because we all have it, because we're creative beings. I don't think there's a music educator on the planet that is not a creative person. It's what we do because we're musicians. And sometimes we can't turn it off. But if we just shift our focus and just be present with where we are now, things kind of can calm down a little bit and we're not going to be so frustrated. So next question we're doing. So thanks for sharing, Janet. So the next question is, what are we going to do before I reveal our letter G is, are you focusing when you're doing your scheduling? Are you focusing on your students and making sure it works for them? Or are you focusing on you? So let's see. We've got a little note here from Joanne, and she says, me first, students second. Now, some of you might think, what do you mean, me first? And I commend you, Joanne, because for me, that is the proper order. If we don't focus on ourselves first, then we can't show up fully and be 100% present for our students. And I know for myself, I know my prime time. When am I best at what I do? When am I going to be teaching? And if my students say, well, I can't come then, can you teach me at this hour? And if it doesn't work for me and my family, then I just say, no, let's work something else out. So I agree with you, Joanne. We need to be working on our schedule and doing it for ourselves first. Let's see. Jenny says, I mostly focus on my students' schedule. Interesting, right? There are a couple of times I need, but mostly my students. So obviously, Ginny is very caring and very compassionate and is really driven to serve at the highest level because she really cares about her students. And that's where her focus is. But I also invite you, Ginny, to think about you. Because if you feel overwhelmed and exhausted at the end of the day, then maybe it's because you didn't take some Ginny time, right? We want to have service and we want to make sure it takes some time for you. So I'm just giving you permission today to be a little bit selfish. Let's see what Leanna says. She says, oh, hi, Glory. I'm so happy to be here and always learn from you. Well, thanks for joining me, Leanna. I really appreciate it. It's just fun when we get to connect, right? And I'll take one more here. And Janet says, I need to take care of myself. If I don't, I won't be any good for any of my students. And you're so right. And it kind of leads me perfectly into our next letter today. So our next note of the day, we did our letter F, which is focus. And our letters today are F, G, and A. So the second letter is the letter G, and that stands for gratitude. Now you might think, well, Glory, I know if any of you know me, if you've been kind of following me on social media for a while, or if you're in any of our programs, you might think, oh, you're always talking about gratitude. I am, because when we're talking about scheduling, we need to be grateful. And you might think, well, how does that connect? Well, let me put it to you this way. If you have a student, or if you are a music educator, then we have gratitude that we are able to do a schedule, that we are able to serve our students, and that we're there with purpose and passion and joyful, right? So be grateful that you get to do a schedule. Sometimes we think, oh, I have to do a schedule. It's overwhelming. One thing I've learned in working with a lot of high-level coaches in my industry is that they are there to serve me. That is their passion. And I'm grateful, and I have gratitude for my coaches, just as your students are grateful to you as their teacher. So if you have an opportunity to do a schedule, think of it as your mindset of showing up and just appreciate and have fun with it, right? One of the things I also want to invite you to is to our Ultimate Music Theory teachers group. So if you go to Ultimate Music Theory Teachers, you can join our Facebook group. You can also follow us on YouTube. Make sure you click the little bell and hit subscribe. I'm with you here every Thursday just to share some Ultimate Music notes to help you in your project and in your teaching. If you'd like to learn more about our UMT Teachers membership, just go to teachumt.com and you can learn more about us. So we've talked a little bit about gratitude, and we want to be grateful for our students. We want to be, grateful for our scheduling. And I want to share with you too that scheduling is a privilege. It's a privilege that we as educators have. Can you imagine how many people get to go to work at a job anywhere and create their own schedule? Unless you're a music teacher, that's probably not going to happen. Can you go to any job? You work in an office, if you work in a dentist's office, or you work in, you work at Walmart, you work at McDonald's, wherever it is. What do? They give you a schedule and say, this is your schedule for the week or 2 weeks. See you then. You have basically no choice. But as educators, we have an opportunity to create our own schedule to teach as many students or as few students as we want, the days that we want, the times that we want. So be grateful that you get to plan your schedule. It's not the overwhelm, it's gratitude. Does that make sense? Give me a little thumbs up. Okay, so let's see what happens in our next letter today. So I see a few more here. Leanna says, she says, I'm so grateful for the new student that came on board just 10 minutes ago. Yay, Leanna. It is about gratitude. And especially now, if you think about it, really, how many people get to also determine their income? I'm so grateful that I know that I can choose to teach this many students or this many students, and it will determine my income as well. So there is gratitude for every student that pops in. I know Joanne Barker's on the call with us today, and she told me the other day she had a phone call from a parent who called her up. She taught all three of this parent student many years ago. And the parent called Joanne up and said, you know what, I just have to, I got to tell you something. Joanne said, oh, great. Nice to hear from you. She said, yes, we're back in town because they'd moved. And we now have 6 children. And I'd like to register all 6 children with you. And Joanne said, oh, really? Oh, I'm so grateful. So that's pretty cool. It's a lot of fun. So our final letter for today is something that you may be thinking about rescheduling. So we've talked about, that overwhelm and getting organized. We've talked about doing our scheduling with gratitude. And now what happens when you have to reschedule? You can almost see by my body language, I'm like, ugh, rescheduling. It's probably every music educator's least favorite word, because we like structure. We like the 8 measures, we like the coda, we like the fine at the end. Like, we are driven by organizing our schedules. And when you call me up and want to change my schedule, it drives me crazy because I like to be structured. So what is your I don't like rescheduling? What is it that you dislike the most about rescheduling? Just share with me in the chat box. What drives you crazy? Maybe rescheduling because it messes up your schedule, or do you do rescheduling? You might say, nope, never do rescheduling. So just share with me. Do you do rescheduling? Yes, no? Do you love rescheduling? What happens when you have to reschedule? It's not always the student, right? But sometimes it might be you. So let's see what we've got on here. Let's see. We're hearing back from Ginny, and she says, I'm so grateful that my students all made the switch to online lessons. Way to go, Ginny. I actually gained students through the pandemic. So sometimes when we think things are going to be uncomfortable, we actually find out, well, wait a second, it's actually a good thing. I know we all made that shift. Whether you were always teaching online, then good for you. But if you were teaching in your studio and you were forced to you had 2 choices, really: make the switch to online or quit teaching. And some people said, oh, it's going to be over in 2 weeks. I'll just take a couple of weeks off. But it didn't happen. And what did happen? All those students went to teachers like Ginny and said, well, the teacher I had isn't teaching online. So boom, all of a sudden now she's going to be gaining students because she's opened this. She's stepped outside her comfort zone and said, you know what? Yes, I will be more than happy to take you into my studio. So way to go, Ginny. I love it. So now we're thinking about when we have to have that rescheduling drama. So let's see what Gail has to say. And she says, I don't like makeup classes. I love her just blunt honesty. Don't like it, drives me crazy. It's not happening. So let's see who else is up here. Janet, what does she have to say? I don't reschedule. Okay, so she's even drawn a line in the sand and said, I don't reschedule. Okay. So let's see what Ginny says. I love hate. Okay. I have a love-hate. I know it drives us all a little crazy, right? Joanne's jumping in here too. Thanks for, participating with me. Joanne says, my schedule is like an intricate Jinja puzzle. Teaching group makes it a challenge that I actually enjoy. Oh, good. So sometimes we can go, okay, well, it's just a little Jenga puzzle. We can kind of take it or leave it. So it's an interesting thing. Jenny's back here and she says, I love hate rescheduling. It gives me a break, but then it makes the day even busier, or it might be crazy, or it might be less. So let's do one little more here. I've got Derek here. What does he have to say? Derek says, rescheduling is frustrating for sure. It feels as if you're spinning plates and someone bumps into you. Okay, I love that one, Derek. That's a great analogy. So now I'm going to give you my final word for the day, and it's about the rescheduling drama. So you might think this is a little bit of an odd letter. So we know the letter A, right? Anybody guess what my letter A is for? Let's see if I have any takers here. What do you think the letter A is going to stand for when I'm talking about rescheduling? Well, I might have to do the reveal. Okay. The letter A, when we're talking about rescheduling, actually stands for attitude. And you might say, what? Attitude? Rescheduling is a privilege. It's part of being an educator. It comes down to one thing: your attitude. And if your attitude is, this is so inconvenient, remember this, that you're the one that created your own schedule. You're the one that has an opportunity to get a raise anytime you choose to. Can you imagine? I'm going to up my rates this year. Just like that. I got a raise. I didn't have to ask anyone. Why? Because you are running your own business. You know what? I'm going to teach Ultimate Music Theory Club classes. I'm going to change from making $50 an hour. I'm going to make $300 an hour. I'm going to make $250 an hour, whatever you want to make. And if you're interested in learning more about how you can do that, simply go to teachumt.com, jump inside our membership, and you are going to be blown away with what you're going to learn, plan, teach, and how you're going to grow your business. And in fact, we have many of our Ultimate Music Theory Teachers members on the call with me today. So thank you for jumping in. And they know all about these letters that we're really talking about. How can we, show up for our students, and how can we really be present for them? Because it's really about having that attitude, having gratitude, and having focus, right? Which are our letters for today. So attitude is something that you choose. Something that you choose. You can have an attitude that says, oh, I hate rescheduling. It's so inconvenient. It's just really annoying. I don't like it. I don't do it. That attitude. Or you can play the game. I call it turn it around. Or you can take that and think, you know what? This perhaps is a gift. It's a gift. This student is rescheduling, and perhaps it's a gift. Perhaps it's a gift because it will open up that time slot for me to maybe take a break, for me to maybe send out those 3 emails that I was supposed to do and didn't get a chance to do earlier. Maybe it's because I get to go and have dinner with my family because it was supper time when they canceled or moved it. Maybe it's an opportunity for you to think, what can I do if I have students rescheduling? Maybe I have a once a week or once a month rescheduling class where anyone who couldn't make it to their lesson comes into the Zoom room, and it is the rescheduled class. And instead of each one just having their one-on-one lesson with me, we do composing, we do sight reading, we do ear training, we do games. And if you are looking for games, believe me, when you are inside the Ultimate Music Theory Teachers membership, you will have games galore. In fact, Joanne Barker, our games designer, has designed games that are monthly games that you can use, different games every single week with every single level, from the beginner students all the way up through to advanced students. And the beauty of this is that when you are doing your makeup rescheduling class, I think it's a brilliant idea just to put do you agree with me? Say yes. Who's going to give me some love? Yes. Because then you're making it something fun. It's something engaging. Your students might go, oh, I want to get into the rescheduling class because it's fun. We're doing something different. And it actually puts it all into one place. So you don't have to do 5 rescheduled lessons. You're going to do 1. That's going to be your new rule, right? Just think about it. It's just something to think about. So how does that feel for you? All right. I'm seeing some little notes here. Let's see. Derek says rescheduling is frustrating for sure. Oh yes, I've already shared his. So Joanne says teachumt.com. Absolutely. Gail says, what does she think about all this? Gail says, great idea. It is a great idea, right? And Joanne Barker says, great idea. Okay, good. We've got some consensus here that this is really a great idea. So I really invite you to join us live in our Ultimate Music Theory Teachers Facebook group. Make sure, if you're watching us on YouTube today, make sure you click the little bell, subscribe. The bell might be over here. Make sure to subscribe, hit the bell so you get notifications, because I do go live every week in our Facebook page and also on our YouTube channel. And I invite you to join me inside teachumt.com, where you'll be part of our coaching call community, which is amazing. You'll also have access to games, resources, lesson plans that are already done for you, so you don't have to spend all that time doing it, and a whole lot more. So thanks for joining me today, and I can't wait to see you inside on the membership. So join teachumt.com. Thanks. Bye now.